In this video, we will continue on working with the mobile data collection system on a smartphone. Picking up from our last video, we now have the mobile forms open. This will be the first screen that you will see. You'll need to enter in your initials, either at the beginning or the end when you're submitting data. I hit the blue bar to advance that form. What you'll see here is just a blue bar at the top. If you hit the icon in the upper left, which looks like a gear, that's for settings. And you'll see that you can make some adjustments here. If you wanted to display more trees per page, you can do that. If you wanted to measure trees by circumference, you can do that, traditionally by diameter. You'll also see this option to reload a project. And what that will do is that will pull in the project configuration from the server and reload it onto your web browser. So you need to be careful with that. If you do that and you have data on the device, you could potentially wipe out data. And it does give you a warning if you do that. It'll let you know that if you have any data, you're going to lose it if you reload that project. So when would you use that? That would be used if you were making a change to the configuration. Say we wanted to update something and then our project manager sent us a new updated link. We then would use this reload option to bring in that configuration so that we have any updates available. I'm just going to use this arrow key. That's how you navigate back and forward on the forms, and then we will use the plus to add data. So you'll see that the first tab is called location. And this is just some of the same information that we set up during project configuration. iTree Streets controls the ID of trees, so as you're moving down a block doing an inventory, you can't force your own numbers in here. Streets controls that. In case you have multiple data collectors, it then will bring them into the desktop and sort those out so that you don't have redundancy or overwrite any records. So as you recall, I set up two zones here. So once I click that on my smartphone, it brings up a menu option at the bottom. Every device is somewhat different, so it might not look exactly the same when you do this on your smartphone or tablet. I'll just hit next. Street segment, you'll notice, is grayed out. That's because that's not applicable for a complete inventory. That would be applicable if we were doing a sample inventory. These were the streets that I had set up, made available during project configuration. Location number refers to the number of trees that might be located in front of a parcel. In this case, it's just one. Location site refers to the orientation of that tree in front of a parcel. If this house was on a corner, it might have trees on two sides. These are just in the front. Land use, this is just a single-family residential neighborhood. And site type just refers to where that tree is growing. If this were a median, a planting strip, front yard. Again, these were all options that you had available to use or not use during project configuration. So this is just a planting strip in the city. You'll see here that you also have this option of city managed. And what this means is Streets does have an option of letting you collect trees on private property, and that will then be differentiated in the reports. So it comes up as a default as city managed. So if you were collecting, say, trees that were not in the right of way or not managed by the city, you can use this to differentiate between those. You'll also see that you have this hold location option. So what this does is it allows you to lock a location. So say we had multiple trees at this address. If we were in front of a rather large business and we had many trees planted along one side of a business, we could then lock this location and it would come back to that. So I'm going to use the arrows here to advance the screen. And now it brings up the GPS form. So I will now hit this start button. I'm indoors, so what it's trying to do is it's trying to acquire satellites, and you'll see that the accuracy will decrease. Since I'm indoors, it's not going to get that much more lower than probably 9 or so. And if you're outdoors, depending on your device, depending on where you're at, you might see 3-meter accuracy. And once you're happy with the accuracy, you just hit capture. And it locks those X and Y locations in place, and then you can advance on. So again, here I'm going to use the arrow keys, advance to the next screen. Species, we have our drop down of species available for the Midwest. You can see here were some of the available planting spaces that we set up. DBH. We chose to use ranges. If you wanted to measure that, you would have to set that up during project configuration. And species condition. We have the option of entering comments. There's also this note this tree option. This is more user defined. If you want to use this, it's available. It does not pertain to anything in particular. It's just an available option that you would have to define on your own if you wanted to note a tree for some particular reason. I will go ahead and advance this screen. This is where we set up the management options. Again, these were all optional, so you do not have to collect any of these if you don't want to. Just remember, Streets at a very minimum need species and DBH. I would highly recommend that you also collect condition, but these were just set up for this demonstration purposes, and these were just the defaults that we had here. And we'll advance the screen. And you'll see that it now has logged our first tree that we collected here. And if we wanted to go on and collect this tree here, we would just go ahead and hit plus, and then we would be back at our location screen, and we could then enter data for that tree. So I'll go ahead and populate a couple trees, and then in the next video we will show you how to submit those trees.